The other thing that I think has become apparent to us as we've been looking at the regime and advising our clients on it, in fact, is that it can be quite difficult for the UK subsidiary of an international oil company to go back to its head office somewhere overseas and explain that the decisions that are being taken cannot be based entirely on the interests of the parent company or the shareholders, but that under UK law, they have to take this more holistic approach, and that collaboration isn't just something that might be a good idea in certain circumstances. It's actually an obligation. If you take that principle too far, then you might scare off investors into the UK continental shelf. So there are some safeguards as well. Nobody should be obliged to invest in something which is actually going to, make a loss for them. But the pie might be shared out slightly differently than it would have been under different circumstances. And creating the right balance between those two drivers of inculcating a culture of collaboration, but also not scaring off investors. That's one of the sort of fine balances that the OGA or the NSTA now it has had to try to find.
In terms of that complexity, looking at how the OGA has had to work quite hard to balance the different roles that it plays in the regulatory regime, particularly when it comes to the enforcement side of things, because it is both the investigator if it thinks that there has been a breach of the regulations, and then the decision maker as to what penalties imposed. So it's wearing two very different hats there, and I think that law that brings some risks attached to it, and the OGA has had to take quite a lot of steps to try to make sure that it balances those two challenging roles properly and minimises the risks of overstepping on one side or the other. And that's quite an interesting area, I suppose, from a legal perspective to look at.
Definitely.